美联储降息点火，比特币冲高，山寨币都在涨，以太坊的鲸鱼也爆表了。赵长鹏释放了回归币安的信号，币安币冲破了$1000，英伟达要转战矿业了，日本的 Strategy 要准备炸场。It's Thursday, September 18th, and this is the BTV Chinese channel Coin United. I'm Michael. Let's take a look at the most important 24-hour data summary in the crypto world. The Fed has finally taken action. There was indeed a rate cut in September, and this is the first rate cut in 9 months, bringing the interest rate down to 4% to 25%. Last year, most people said a 25 basis point cut was enough, but many US officials argued it wasn't, even calling for a direct 50 basis point cut, or else the job market would really cool off. The dot plot is very straightforward. There's a high chance of another 50 basis point cut before the end of the year. This means the quantitative easing cycle is about to fully kick off. So the market's reaction has been very direct and swift. BTV's open interest in futures has soared over the past 3 days, with nearly $1 billion added in just 24 hours. Coin prices have also followed suit, jumping from $112,000 straight up to $117,000. The logic is clear. A rate cut means money is cheaper, so everyone is more willing to leverage up. But don't forget, employment and economic pressures are still there. Leverage combined with an easing market could mean things move fast and hard. In other words, it's going to be a wild ride. Don't forget to fasten your seatbelt. With the Fed cutting rates, we're seeing altcoins collectively go wild. The biggest gainer appears to be HKEX, which tripled in a single day. Other altcoins also saw gains of around 10%. As for BTV, there was a short-term divergence, but the funding rate remains steady at 0. Around 9,110 thousandths, and it continues to trend upward, which shows that the bulls aren't backing down at all. Looking at the dot plot again, the probability of a cumulative rate cut of 100 to 150 basis points over the next 12 months is increasing, with rates dropping to around 3%. This is the general market expectation, basically telling the market that money will get even cheaper. For strong cyclical assets like BTV and Ethereum, this acts as a super accelerator for price increases. Looking at derivatives, the open interest in perpetual contracts is also expanding, with big money taking the opportunity to leverage up aggressively. At the same time, the US SEC has released some positive news by approving a universal listing standard, meaning that spot ETFs will now be reviewed using the 6C11 form, which simplifies the approval process and shortens the review period from several months to just a few weeks. In short, both policy and capital are working together. If quantitative easing really kicks off by the end of the year, it won't just ignite the main wave for Bitcoin, but could also trigger a frenzy of institutional and liquidity-driven resonance. Bitcoin at $250,000 is no joke. Looking at SoFar's data, yesterday, Ethereum ETFs saw a small net inflow of $188.9 million. But if we take a closer look at the data, it gets interesting. The upcoming ETF saw a net inflow of $25,860,000 in a single day. And historically, the cumulative purchases have reached $132. $550 million. The mini version of the ETF spot also added $6,380,000, with a cumulative purchase of $1.4 billion. Only the complex FETH saw an outflow of $29,190,000, but historically it still maintains a total net purchase of $2.7 billion. So, if we add it all up, the entire Ethereum spot ETF family manages $2.9 billion. $19 billion accounting for 5% of Ethereum's total market value. 47%. Historically, these big players have absorbed a total of $13.9 billion. This is the main buying force behind Ethereum's rise, which means that spot ETFs have already become the key demand factor influencing Ethereum's price. Their inflows and outflows, their buying and selling, directly dictate the rhythm of the market. Next, let's look at the on-chain medium-sized whales holding between 10,000 and 100,000 ETH. Their unrealized profits have already soared to levels comparable to the peak of the 2021 bull market. In other words, these big players are all sitting on paper wealth right now. Historically, whenever this happens, there are often some who can't resist triggering a sell-off to cash out. But then again, that's not necessarily what will happen this time. They might not dump their holdings immediately, because right now is a crucial period where market sentiment and whale profits are locked in a tug of war. The key question is, should they hold on and tough it out, hoping for even higher profits, or should they play it safe and cash out while they're ahead? The future of Ethereum really depends on their mood. Alright, please like and turn on the notification bell. Malay, Barney, Suri, 24-hour updates on the crypto, blockchain, and mining world, bringing you news right when money is to be made. From Monday to Friday, we prepare a wealth code for our early members, telling you where to buy and where to sell, so you can experience the thrill of making money on anything you buy during a bull market after the rate-cutting cycle begins. Today's news focus is on Zhao Changpeng. Everyone remembers the Bitcoin Asia conference. Zhao Changpeng was probably the most talked about figure there, second only to Trump's son. And a lot of people were holding up their phones, recording him. Every word he said was turned into a golden quote, repeatedly referenced in countless short videos. Why is everyone paying attention to him? He is an extremely legendary figure. At 24, he was still in a US federal prison, serving time with robbers, only allowed outside for 15 minutes a day. This man paid a fine of 53.1 billion RMB, and in the end was ridiculed as the most gullible Chinese billionaire in the crypto world who believed in America. After completing a dramatic turnaround from prison to the summit, he added the word legendary to his own life story, to his life.
This morning, CZ changed his personal profile on the ZX platform from Binance to Binance, sending a possible signal of his return. At the same time, Bloomberg reported that Binance is in talks with the U.S. Department of Justice, seeking to lift the 3-year independent compliance monitoring requirement. If this situation materializes, CZ's return could not only ignite a rally in BNB, potentially replicating or even surpassing the strong market performance since the end of 2024, but also lay the groundwork for renewed enthusiasm in ecosystem projects and the IEO sector, setting the stage for another market boom.
In some countries, things are progressing rapidly, while in many other countries, especially those on the mainland, progress is often slower. Mainland countries tend to move more slowly, with more experience and more people involved in discussions. But overall, I think things are proceeding at a very normal pace. Let me give you another example, Zhao.
After Changpeng Zhao updated his profile, BNB surged about 5%, breaking through $960 to a new all-time high. Trading volume jumped 37%, and open interest in futures contracts hit $1.8 billion. Technically, it broke the $930 to $950 resistance, and if momentum continues, the next target is the key $1,000 mark.
Don't underestimate the signal when CZ makes a move to update his profile. This is a very clear sign that the man is coming back. In the crypto world, there's a strong belief in founders, almost to the point of deification. Just look at Satoshi Nakamoto. People revere him, even though he disappeared and never spoke again. Or Dalich from Ethereum, who moved to Taiwan. Every market's faith is inseparable from the true protagonist's charisma. CZ's story, from his fall to his comeback and reinvention, is full of drama. For the market, this individual is a massive catalyst. This story alone can unite policy, sentiment, and capital into one powerful force. So, moving forward, what we need to watch now is whether CZ's latest moves can pump BNB up to a new dimension. Actually, it's worth considering. If an asset starts dropping right after the Fed began cutting rates yesterday, you have to wonder if it's really a global asset anymore. Maybe it's just an asset that's being hurt by closing the door on itself. So, even though the Fed only cut rates by 25 basis points this time, Trump isn't satisfied. Trump is saying it'd be better to cut by half to slash by 50%, when Trump especially wants to replace Powell. But even with all the tricks he's tried with the various board members, he only managed to get one dissenting vote. Powell still managed to hold his ground. Actually, this whole drama is like a movie with 3 main acts. First, Powell stabilized market confidence with a small rate cut, signaling that an easing cycle is about to begin. Second, Trump's actions are actually shaking the independence of the Federal Reserve, putting renewed pressure on confidence in the US dollar. How this trend will develop in the later stages is something we need to keep watching. Third, now that interest rates have entered the 4% range, everyone is eagerly waiting to see when they'll drop into the 3% range. Currently, assets with no yield like Bitcoin, gold, and growth stocks are all benefiting together. So now, not only did Powell hold onto his position, he also took the opportunity to push the market further into an easing phase.
At the post-meeting press conference, Powell sent out 3 major signals. First, the labor market has clearly cooled down, with job growth now below the threshold needed to keep the unemployment rate stable. Second, tariffs may push inflation higher. Third, there will be no long-term commitment to the future rate cut path. Instead, the Fed will adopt a flexible approach, making decisions on a meeting-by-meeting basis. Overall, the Federal Reserve is now signaling a cautious easing and gradual adjustment, indicating that the easing cycle has begun, but the pace will not be locked in ahead of time.
The Fed's mission is to maintain the competitiveness of the US dollar and the US's competitive position. If the Fed's independence is affected by a downturn, the US dollar and US confidence will also be affected. However, as soon as the Fed cuts interest rates, global capital markets begin to celebrate. This kind of power and energy is what President Trump particularly wants to possess. President Trump's solution is to create a stable currency, and Trump has the final say. If a stable currency replaces the US dollar in the future, the Fed's power will disappear. Nvidia used to despise crypto, but now it wants to invest in both crypto and AI. AI. The digital yen is about to emerge, and Invitrogen is firmly grasping Japan's new trend. It's a bit of a commotion. China's antitrust law is reportedly going to completely ban the import of Invitrogen chips. In the CPU market, Invitrogen is undoubtedly a big brother, so whoever he wants to give chips to can be destroyed on the spot. You should know that their CPU is called McCarthy. Previously, he was very dissatisfied with cryptocurrency. Mining companies couldn't get chips at all. He felt that giving ChatGPT was the most reliable. Back then, everyone still remembers that graphics cards could be mined in a room, but cards were hard to come by. Cryptocurrency was left out of the entire AI accelerator. He broke up with RB easily. But now that the wind has changed, he's starting to think again and wants to invest in AI cryptocurrencies.
According to Bloomberg, Nvidia has announced an investment of $6 million in the UK AI infrastructure company InScale. A $683 million investment in InScale, an Orkan Energy spin-off, focuses on European AI cloud services. With Nvidia, UK computing power will grow to 60,000 GPUs by 2026. The goal is to advance the UK's sovereign AI, economy, and job market, supporting its national AI initiative.
With 60,000 CPUs already deployed, I believe scientific research applications will be no problem, and it will also attract corporate talent. Even more interesting is the background of InScale. It was spun off from the mining company Orkan Energy. What signal does this send to the market? It turns out that the remaining advantages of the mining industry can also be revived in the AI era. So many people are worried that this will blur their stance on AI and encryption. In my opinion, making money is a good thing because every company's mission or responsibility is to make money. Well, let's take a look at Japan. Our Japanese channel has been growing very steadily for over 6 months since its launch, as the Japanese market is known for its cautious and steady approach to success. However, the most significant move by the Japanese Financial Services Agency was a crazy portfolio right. First, an asset retention order was issued to protect user funds. On this basis, stablecoins were authorized to purchase US bonds and financial products, and taxes were also lowered. Cryptocurrencies returned to traditional regulatory channels, so the Japanese market immediately exploded and Japanese companies began to increase their investment. It seemed that Japan was about to start rolling back.
Japan's SBI Shinsei Bank is collaborating with Singapore's Parsher and local Decorate DCP to jointly develop a blockchain-based multi-currency settlement framework. SBI Shinsei is responsible for issuing, while Decorate will connect its DCGYP system to Parsher's international network. The Parsher platform will also add support for the Japanese yen.
The goal is to provide investors with different trading accounts to access funding-linked accounts. Most importantly, it's about obtaining capital. Today, no one has done this. We believe Japan is ready, and the product is something never seen before. We want to lead this transformation.
Metapenet is accelerating its global expansion. In the United States, its newly established Metapenet Income Corp will focus on Bitcoin yield generation and derivatives trading. In Japan, by setting up Bitcoin Japan Corporation, it operates media and organizes events, striving to expand its influence in the Japanese crypto media ecosystem and promote the implementation and development of Bitcoin-related businesses.
Among all the crypto news coming out of Japan, there's one story everyone should pay special attention to. SBI Bank is really making a big move. In 2026, this bank plans to issue digital yen to its customers. What does this mean? In the past, transferring yen was really expensive, costly, slow, and troublesome. Now, transfers can be almost instantaneous, directly boosting Japan's competitiveness in global payments. At the same time, Metapenet is also accelerating its Bitcoin strategy. In the US, it has set up a subsidiary focused on yield derivatives, while in Japan, it's using Bitcoin Japan Corporation to spread its presence across the country. They're going after both markets, aiming to capture both capital markets. Don't forget what's behind all this: Japan's Financial Services Agency and its crypto-friendly policies. This is real deregulation. Taxes are being lowered, stablecoins are being allowed in, and financial products are making a comeback. These policies, together with corporate and capital involvement, are sure to create a triple resonance. To put it simply, the signal has been sent, and Japanese companies are all responding. If digital yen and the Bitcoin strategy are both scaled up, I believe Japan's crypto market could really explode, becoming a new Asian hub driven by both regulation and capital. Now let's look at the news highlights.
The exchange is showing signs of life again. According to a scoop from the block, they plan to launch SOL and XRP futures and options on October 13th. However, they still need to get regulatory approval first. If it really gets approved, the altcoin gambling table is going to get even livelier. Trade Text 23. A quick reminder from 23.5 seconds. Be careful of AltoSay. It pretends to be an AI tool and advertises on Twitter to lure you into downloading it. But instead of a magic tool, it's actually a Trojan. Using Apple's Cranked, it steals system information, browser data, and even targets your wallet. Don't click on random ads. Prevent your AI tool from turning into an AI thief. New developments. Franklin Templeton keeps making moves, teaming up with Rico to form a major alliance. With RLUSD stablecoin and tokenized funds, they're completing trading and lending directly on-chain, a Wall Street meets blockchain mashup. Google has recently launched a new payment protocol card that can swipe stablecoins and also be used between AI applications for direct transfers. Coinbase, the Ethereum Foundation, and over 60 industry giants are all on board. Google seems determined to make the AI wallet a global standard. Meanwhile, the Korean exchange's subsidiary Toscom has made a move, applying for 5 Korean won stablecoin trademarks and conveniently restructuring its digital asset division. The message is clear. They're determined to take the lead in the Korean won stablecoin game.
Good money, profit soup, you have to listen. Investing is important. Everyone knows we're all here to make money. The interest rate cut cycle has begun, and the profit effect will accelerate. But we can't make investing our entire life. No matter how much money you have, it can't buy health and happiness. Staying up all night watching the K-line every day, keeping your family at bay, isn't a true master. What does a true master do? Treat investing as a part of life. Wealth should be a tool, not a tool. Making money is easy, but making it in your hands is the hardest. Investing should give you freedom, not make you a slave to the market. So spend more time with your family and go out. You'll find that peace of mind is more valuable than a few more zeros in your account. Once you lose the advice your mother and father have given you, you won't regret it because you truly have been there for them. True freedom isn't about your wallet, but freedom of mind. Trading is just a spice of life, not the main course. Live your life well and put your mind at ease. The capital will come back to you. If you understand, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for today's show. We hope that the daily program review will give you a perceptual understanding of the Web3 world and a rational decision-making process. We also hope that you will join us. Here are all our member benefits. We hope to guide everyone in this rotation. Add a bell from the top to the back. See you tomorrow.